Hello, BookTube. I'm Peg, and I'm back after a little hiatus. Hiatus? How do you say that? Okay. That's the trouble with people who read a lot. They know what the word means, but they don't always know how to pronounce it because they've only read it. Um, anyway, I have been on a complete reading binge for hours every day. It's a great way to avoid the holiday rush, is just stay home and read. And I have been mostly engrossed in Steve Donoghue's best debut fiction list. It is amazing. Now, what I am known as the book prize addict, and I like to follow all the book prizes, but lately I'm getting a little tired of some that they always talk about the same books, and if I didn't like them in the first place, the last thing I want to do is hear about them talked again. But bless his heart, Steve came up with, I think, all 10 books on his list. Many I hadn't heard of, and none of them I had read on his debut list. And they are just fantastic. I'm planning to read every one, the ones I haven't already read. And so most of these are from his debut list, and maybe you haven't heard of them either. Okay. I'm not sure how Steve selects his books, probably a much more intellectual way than I do, but I really go for good characterization and sense of place or setting. Those are the things, especially in debut books, I really go for. And these have them to the nth degree. So let me just go through them quickly. The first one is Graffiti Palace by A.G. Lombardo. This deals with 1965 San Francisco during the Watts riot. There we see the fire and the evocative view of LA at that time. And the main character in this is the graffiti artist, one of the first graffiti artists, it was new then, name of Americo Monk, who is trying to find his way home. During this, it goes through different parts of LA and meets different characters. Steve, in fact, calls it a pastiche of Homer's Odyssey, which, of course, he's read and I haven't. But okay, anyway, the opening scene of this is just fantastic. It goes into where he lives, where a group of people, they have a makeshift harbor community assembled from old shipping containers. And it goes on for several pages, the atmosphere of this place and getting into it, just the kind of thing I love. If you've read or seen the movie of Ready Player One, it was popular last year, the characters there live in also shipping containers that are piled on top of each other. And they get from one to the other by climbing on ladders. And the movie did a great job of keeping that setting. So as I said, that was very reminiscent of that book and others where the setting is where the people live in some makeshift thing that has so much character. Okay, the next book we have from his debut list is a short film about disappointment by Joshua Madison, who lives in L.A. This is another one about L.A. Bad light. Okay. It's in near future America where Noah, a young film critic, has a job, as he puts it, writing reviews for lousy novels, lousy movies for a website that nobody reads. And it's very funny. And of course, he wants to break into the movies himself, as it seems everybody who moves to LA does. And the structure of this is really unusual. It's written in 80 sections that are 80 film reviews of bad movies that he's writing on, and he manages to put some of his own life and what's going on into these. And it's, as I said, it's really funny and well done. Okay, next we have Early Work by Andrew Martin. There's a very interesting cover on this. I couldn't find an attribution to anything, so I'm thinking it might be original. I'm not sure. But it kind of shows young people who have nothing to do and are enjoying themselves in different ways, and that's kind of, in a way, what the book is about. It's about a young man named Peter who's a writer, and he has moved to Charlottesville, Virginia, where his longtime girlfriend is a medical student, and she has to move around for her work, and he follows her, and therefore he has really no roots or people that he knows. And of course he should be writing, but he manages to do other things. Though he does have a part-time job teaching at a women's prison, which has some interesting scenes in it about that. But mainly he's kind of roaming around the town, avoiding the novel he's supposed to be writing, and he meets, another writer, a woman named Leslie, and they each feel like they are serious writers and have a lot in common. And of course, it goes on from there. Becomes, and it actually she kind of takes over the story in some way. So it's interesting how she's brought in, and this is done, and the story goes another way. And again, this one's very realistic, and you can just feel the hot Virginia summer that they're suffering through. Okay, the last book is not from his debut list. It's from his best fiction list, and it may be my best novel of the year. I just finished it last night, and I'm still just hammered by it. It was the name of it is Putney by Safka Zanaviev. It's not her debut, but I think her others look more like memoirs. But this one is a complete novel, and it's the most thought-provoking and, how would you say, emotionally complex book that I have read in many, many years, if ever. Briefly, it deals with, starts 30 years ago. The Putney here is the Putney in England, so this one's not about LA. Starts 30 years ago, where a famous musician named Ralph is working with a renowned writer named Edmund to adapt a play together with music. And he spends a lot of time at Edmund's sprawling house gets to know his family, and the daughter, Daphne, a pre-teenager at that time. The musician Ralph becomes very, very entranced by. At first, they have a muse, she's his muse in his writing relationship, and but it does through the years go into a sexual relationship while she's still an underage teen. And this is where there's been lots of book reviews written. The questions of it, it shows it from her point, his point. It's not really graphic, but it has a way of showing different views of the situation and reasons, and it goes deeply into her family. It just I read it all day. I could not quit reading it. It just really, as I said, shook me. It ends with 30 years later, and another main character, her best friend Jane, comes in, and you get to hear the viewpoint of the whole thing from all three characters. And on the back it says, one of the blurbs says, it shows what is love and what is exploitation. Can contradictions in viewpoints both be true? And as I said, after reading it all day, I thought about it all night. So I'd love to hear some other thoughts on this. Okay, let's see. I'm trying to get this short. That's all the books I'm going to have, but I encourage you to read out through his best debut fiction. I have them all. I plan to read them all. As I said, I hadn't heard of any of them, and they're wonderful. Way to pick them, Steve. Okay, just wanted to show you my knitted holiday bag. Now, this is actually cut out from a used sweater I found at a thrift store, and it was just a little bit too much for a sweater, so I cut out the front part and made it into a book bag, kind of. And it gets bigger, it stretches. I needed it to line it, so I did put some holiday type lining in it, and it just works real well for carrying my books around, and goes along with my knitting hobby. Okay, that's it for now. Bye.